The internet is no stranger to death. One of the longest running scenes online has been that of shock videos, many of them stemming from accidents, tragedies caught on camera unintentionally, or sometimes filmed for the purpose of warning others that it can happen to them too. It is a digital glimpse into the chaotic and violent world we live in, a virtual memento mori. But beneath that lies even a darker underbelly, individuals who have used the anonymity of the online space to take the lives of those who are weaker, frailer, and desperate. And in 2010, one of these individuals would take the stage. He would go too far in the name of infamy and start one of the biggest online manhunts the internet has ever seen.
Believe it or not, we've got more of this insanity. So don't you dare leave me here alone. And we'll be right back after these messages.
This video is sponsored by Raycon. Guys, let's be honest here. Every one of us needs a good pair of headphones, and unfortunately, that seems harder and harder to come by. But with the new Raycon Essential Open Earbuds, I think I found my pair. The Raycon Essential Open Earbuds keep your ears open while still delivering that crystal clear sound that you are expecting from premium quality headphones. These things sit just outside of your ear, so it's very breathable, very flexible, and very comfortable. This allows you to listen to all your favorite music, all your favorite podcasts and creators while still being in tune with what's going on around you. The world is busy, and it's more important now than ever to have the best of both worlds. These things don't feel bulky, and quite frankly, sometimes I forget that I'm even wearing them. I have been taking my Raycons just about everywhere. They are the only earbuds that I have ever had that do not come out, and trust me when I say, I tried. Raycon delivers that premium audio quality that you are looking for in all of the premium brands, but they do it at half the price. With Raycon being in the market, there is absolutely no reason to overpay for good quality headphones, and quite frankly, you shouldn't. So if you think it's time for a change and you want to try out Raycons, click the link down below in the description or go to buyraycon.com/VTWOpen for 30% off on your Raycons. Thank you, Raycon, for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the video. Sometime in 2010, a video was uploaded to YouTube. One boy, two kittens. The video starts off quite mundane, the camera moving into kittens laying on a bed, when someone from behind the camera starts to pet them, before he grabs them and puts them in a vacuum-sealed bag, turning on the vacuum and suffocating the kittens. The video was only about 4 to 5 minutes long, but it went viral almost instantly, as it was spread through various online forums and Facebook groups. Once the video started to gain infamy, groups on Facebook would start to form to hunt down whoever made this video, trying to gather any clues they could about the individual and the room the video was shot in, instantly starting a site-wide manhunt. It wasn't the best quality, but from what was shown and what was heard, many clues were given, and over the span of months, a group of internet investigators were able to break down the room in the video, recreating the layout, finding clues within the audio, and within the blanket on the bed, looking into outlets to try and find a place in the country. This basically led nowhere, as the only actual useful clue given within the video was a piece of audio played within the background of the video. There was noise, and it sounded like two people talking, but it was hard to decipher, until one of the people within the group pointed out it may have Russian origins. This led the group to find out the audio they were hearing was of a Russian sitcom named Bolshaya Raznitsa, a parody TV show that aired from 2008 to 2014, which would have put the video's origin in Russia. This sent the group into a frenzy, checking whatever they could to confirm it took place in Russia, but one of the members of the group, John Green, came to the conclusion that it was a red herring, specifically designed to throw them off the trail. And that's the thing that makes this case so strange. The culprit wanted to make a game of it, and there were signs of this from the very beginning. According to John Green, looking through the YouTube channel that uploaded the original video, You Only Wish 500, he found that it had liked a single video, a clip from the movie Catch Me If You Can, a movie about a con man who continues to escape from the FBI over and over again. To the group, this was a sign, telling them he wanted to be hunted, and maybe it should have been a sign to the group to not proceed with this case, but we both know they did not stop looking. Months would go by, and nothing would come from anything found within the video, and nothing found within the group. This would change when a seemingly random account inside of the group sent a new video. It was taken within the same room as the previous cat video, showing the aftermath of vacuum sealing, this time playing with the corpses. The video came alongside images of the deceased cats in a refrigerator and a link from another random account. This link led to an image of the man in the videos holding one of the cats up to his face with his face blurred out. He was asking to be found. Not only that, but he had fully infiltrated the groups hunting him. He wanted this hunt, and he made sure to keep the group looking for more. At this point, I think it was irresponsible for this group to continue this hunt, after knowing that the culprit was after the hunt itself, continuously egging the group on to keep going, and seeking the group's attention. During this point in my research, it became very clear to me that the man in the videos was just as obsessed with the group as the group was to him. Once everyone got their hands on the new video and the images, the hunt began once more. They took the video, broke it down frame by frame to see if there was anything at all that could lead to a possible location to pinpoint. The only things that they found were a pack of cigarettes and a vacuum cleaner. The cigarettes were from the Marlboro brand, and they had the Surgeon's General warning on the package, landing them firmly somewhere in North America. The vacuum cleaner they found in the video also put them in North America. As this Facebook group was on the hunt, the original video, One Boy, Two Kittens, didn't stop growing in virality. It ended up finding its way in front of multiple animal rights activist groups who would join in on the hunt. One of the most prominent in this case was a rescue group called Rescue Inc., a Long Island-based animal welfare organization who in 2009 had their own show on National Geographic. They aren't the typical animal rescue team. They were way more in your face towards the abusers, to make sure they would be shamed for their actions. This group did not stray from extremes to get what they needed to be done, and once they joined the hunt, things became complicated. Rescue Inc. wasn't only big on TV. They had a sizable following of around 100K on Facebook during the time, and according to Joe Pans, the head of the group, they were getting around 8 to 9 million views monthly. Rescue Inc. joining the hunt put a lot more eyes on the internet investigation, and to make sure that people would be interested, Rescue Inc. put a bounty of $5,000 on whoever was in the video. This led to a very immediate and chaotic amount of leads coming from all over the world, pinning the blame on anyone that they could find. Things spiraled out of hand fast. Over the next few months, most of the leads that would come in would be useless. Nothing found would amount to anyone or anything. One of the people who ended up joining these groups would out himself as a target. Jamsey crams a lot in his ass. A clear troll account would come out and post onto his public page a video of someone lighting a kitten on fire in a cage. Once the groups got their hands on this account, Joe Pans asked him directly under the post if he was the one behind the One Boy, Two Kittens video, to which he said yes. This got the group into a frenzy. They had him, but they didn't know where he was. So they started to dig for everything, looking through his friended accounts, going through others' personal information, and eventually finding out where his account originates from. Windhoek, Namibia. They found his location through a paintball group he was publicly associated with. and once they found him, they did not hold back. During the hunt for Jamsey, two others from the group, John Green and Deanna Thompson, the ones who found the Marlboros in the vacuum, tried to convince the group that this was the wrong man, as they reversed image searched Jamsey's profile picture, finding it to be originally from a male porn site. But the main group didn't care. They were out for blood, so they stalked him, harassed him, and threatened him and others around him. Eventually, this accumulated into Jamsey taking his own life. His real name was Edward Jordan, and he was the group's first victim. Edward Jordan was a man who during this time was going through a depressive episode and was utilizing the internet as a way to cope. He turned to trolling people online as his outlet. A horrible way to go about it, especially seeing how he essentially claimed himself to be the cat killer. But still, people sometimes grieve and cope in different, unnecessary ways. This was the last straw for me, personally, through this investigation, and a pretty big turning point into how I viewed the group and their antics online. This became more than just a way to bring someone to justice. The moment that they put a bounty on the head of a man that they knew nothing about. This got to a point in the investigation that the people involved started to split from the groups, and after this event, nothing would come out of it for months. It wouldn't be until sometime in 2011, some of the group members would receive a message from another sock puppet account, telling them that the man that they were looking for was named Luka Magnotta. Luka Magnotta is an interesting person, as during this time it was found that when you looked him up, hundreds upon thousands of search results would appear for a man living a life of a superstar. Luka Magnotta was everywhere. Articles written about him, talking about how he was recently married to a woman in Russia, talking about rumors with him with Paris Hilton, and countless fan accounts made with the sole purpose of praising him. And because of this, it was hard to tell where he could even be. The lead from this sock puppet account eventually led to a private group on Facebook being created to specifically hunt down Luka and everything about him. During the search, they went through every photo they could find of him to try and pinpoint his area directly, but as this was going on, the user John Green came to the realization that most of the photos online were faked in one way or another. Almost everything online about Luka was orchestrated. Almost none of it was real, and the parts of it that were news articles, a Sun News interview of a rumor he made of himself, and videos of him auditioning for shows as a model. All of the fan sites and all of the profiles built up around him were fake as well, made by Luka himself. It became clear that Luka Magnotta was very self-obsessed and extremely mentally unwell, obsessed with the idea of being famous by any means necessary. But a lot of the articles and a lot of the interviews pointed towards somewhere in Canada, as during a Sun News interview he stated that there was a rumor spreading online about a relationship he had with the well-known serial killer Karla Homolka, one half of the infamous Ken and Barbie killers. Their murders took place in Toronto, Scarborough, and Ontario. The interview took place in 2007, 3 years before the One Boy, Two Kittens would be uploaded onto YouTube. But it was a good place to start. Using this and some of the photos, the group was able to put Luka directly in Ontario, to which they called the police once they confirmed his address. Nothing would come of this, however, as once the police got to his address, they confirmed that Luka moved out months prior. So again, the hunt hit a dead end, and they wouldn't recover from it. Luka would successfully escape, and with no leads to go off of, the group slowly but surely lost interest in the case. Many people left, and because the hunt kind of just died off, most people didn't even think about it anymore. It was just another piece of internet history. That would be until December of 2011. 2 new videos would make their way to the group of Luka killing more cats. This time the videos would be uploaded from both YouTube and LiveLeak. But it wasn't just the Facebook groups that got involved with Luka and his videos. This time, a segment of the news company The Sun from the UK ended up posting onto their website multiple articles on the case and on the videos, trying to get people to call in to get the perpetrator arrested. The New York Times would also become aware of these videos alongside many other news sites and tabloids. Things from here began to shift. As more people outside of the Facebook group became aware, the control over the situation started to go to more responsible and professional journalists and investigators. Alex West, a journalist working for The Sun in the UK, got a tip from a sock puppet account who, let's be honest, was probably more than likely Luka Magnotta himself, as the account told Alex that the person he was looking for was in London, staying at the Full Siller Inn, and was Luka Magnotta. He decided to meet him there and secretly record the conversation when he arrived.
It could be a fucking loon and try and stab us or something. We've got to be a bit careful. Luka, can I have a quick word? I'm a journalist on the Sun newspaper.
You're not still living here, are you?
No. What are you doing in London now?
Because of the harassment.
What harassment?
I'm getting death threats.
Saying what?
Anything you can imagine. They're going to kill me.
Why?
Because of these stories.
But a lot of people are saying that this chap is responsible for killing the kittens in the YouTube videos. This is you in the picture here.
No, it's not.
It certainly looks like you.
It's not me.
That isn't you.
No. People are really good with Photoshop these days, aren't they? People frame me, isn't that obvious?
Why would somebody do that? Have they got an investment industry?
Many people do.
What for?
We won't get into that.
Okay. We're not really getting very far. We'll have to leave it at that, I think.
Yes, I think we do. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank
These videos would be the last of the cat killings, but it wouldn't be the last of Luka Magnotta. 2 days after this, Luka would go on to send an email under the alias John Kilbride, the name of a murder victim of the infamous Moors murders, orchestrated by Mira Hindley and Ian Brady, to Alex West, members of the Facebook group, and multiple other journalists. Well, I have to say goodbye for now. But don't worry, in the near future, you will be hearing from me again. This time, however, the victims won't be small animals. You see, killing is different than smoking. With smoking, you can actually quit. Once you kill and taste blood, it's impossible to stop. The urge is just too strong not to continue. Next time you hear from me, it will be in a movie I'm producing that will have some humans in it, not just. And he would from this point almost entirely go offline for 6 months, with the exception of a video one of his sock puppet accounts liked specifically to harass BodyMovin99, one of the main accounts involved with the Facebook group that he was being hunted by. It wouldn't lead to anything important, but it showed he knew exactly where the people in the group were at any given time. The email would be the last piece of media Luka would produce and give to anyone willingly for a time. No one could track his movements from here, as it's assumed that after he met with Alex West, he moved yet again. The Facebook groups would again go cold, fearful of what may come, and constantly on the edge of Luka, hoping no one in the group was going to be his target. The months of silence and fear of what was to come would eventually be broke by a link to a site known as Best Gore. I will not be showing you the video, as it is not something I'm comfortable being on the channel, and I highly recommend against trying to seek it out. The video is around 11 minutes long, titled One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. The video opens with a naked man, strapped to a bed, writhing. It then cuts to show that same man, still, while a hooded figure comes into frame, caresses the man, then repeatedly stabs him over and over again, with what looks to be an ice pick, before dismembering the victim, performing acts with the parts on camera, taking a knife and fork to the parts, and feeding it to a puppy, before taking the dog's life as well. All of this taking place in a dimly lit room, a poster hanging on the wall from the 1942 film Casablanca, and the song True Faith by New Order was playing in the background. This video was disgusting and quite frankly one of the worst things I think I have ever had the displeasure of describing. I was shown this video early on in my life thanks to trolls who thought posting it everywhere would be funny, and I haven't actually finished watching it, and I will not either, as I simply don't feel like putting myself through watching something like that. The next week after this video would be posted, a police call would be made in Montreal. The janitor of 5720 de Carey Street of Montreal went out to throw his trash early in the morning when he saw a suitcase with a lock on it next to the trash. He described it as riddled with maggots, thinking initially that maybe someone's pet died and they had no idea what to do with it. They quickly shoved it into a suitcase, hoping for the city waste management to take care of it. But according to the janitor, curiosity got the best of him, due to the lock on it. So he opened it. What was inside was a torso, riddled with holes. By the time the police arrived at the scene, according to Detective Sergeant Claudette Hamlin, the stench overtook the street, and it became very clear, very quickly, that someone had tipped off the media to the crime scene. They became swarmed, and the media went in and immediately reported on the crime before more evidence would even be gathered. They had to move quickly, so the detectives began to search through the trash to see if they could find anything else. Many of the bags that they found were drenched in what seemed to be oxidized blood, and going through them, they found many items they believed to be personal belongings of the victim and body parts. They found the arms and the legs, but with no hands and no feet, and they couldn't find the head. The items they found in the crime scene were a plethora of different things: a wine bottle, blood-stained blanket, shoes, a poster for Casablanca, a ridiculous amount of receipts, and an ID, all belonging to one Luka Magnotta, believing him to be the victim. They also found a screwdriver, painted to look like an ice pick, a knife with pieces of flesh on it, scissors, and a saw. The receipts they had gave them the address to Luka's apartment. When they checked it out, it was eerily clean. Just about nothing but a bottle of lemon juice was found, along with just generic furniture. Unfortunately, during this time, the police were not able to do a thorough investigation into the apartment as they did not have a warrant, so they had to shut it back down. They became informed that the building had 2 cameras in it, one for the front door and one for the basement, where tenants would bring their trash. Given the time frame the janitor gave them of when he first saw the suitcase, it was relatively easy to find out when the events of the murder took place. And after a while, they had him, on camera, repeatedly coming back to the basement, dumping each bag individually from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. They had him. They just couldn't put a face to him, believing that Luka was dead. On the same day over at the Conservative Party headquarters of Montreal, it was being reported that a delivery was made of a severed human foot. The foot came with a note that had a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. The police will need dental file to identify you, bitch. The package the foot came in had a barcode on it, which allowed the police to track down what post office it came from pretty easily. Once the police arrived, they checked the security camera and found out he had actually sent 2 packages from this post office, one of which had just arrived at the Liberal Party headquarters, which was a hand. 2 other packages would be sent as well, including one to an elementary school. The security cameras and the payments made linked this directly to Luka Magnotta, initially shocking some of the investigators who had believed him to be the victim. But now the hunt was finally on. With no leads, unfortunately, and no understanding of who the victim themselves were at the time, the police really didn't have much to go off of. That was until the Montreal police decided to look into their online tips, and found multiple about a video surfacing online of a killing. The video initially was reported to the Toronto Police Department by the Facebook group, along with multiple best score users. The main attempt would come from a Montana attorney, but these tips were ultimately thrown out by officials, as they didn't believe a killer would film himself in the act and upload it online, allegedly even declining a video link, believing it wouldn't be necessary. Only after issuing a countrywide manhunt for Luka Magnotta did they realize they could have acted sooner, which always seems to be the case with these kind of things, doesn't it? When the investigators finally got their hands on the video, they were able to put a face to their victim, allowing them to look closer to the missing persons reports and security cameras to find out who he was. His name was Jun Lin. Jun Lin was a college student who came from Wuhan, moving to Canada in hopes of making a better life for himself and to study computer engineering. Jun Lin was a gay man and was facing pressure from his more traditional family to settle down with a woman, which was one of his main motives for coming out to Canada. This was bringing with it a lot of tension within his current relationship, which eventually would lead to a breakup. When Junlin broke up with his then boyfriend, he began to use Grindr and Craigslist, trying to seek out new relationships and casual hookups. He would then go on to find a post on Craigslist from Luka, in which he explained that he wanted to make a movie for himself and wanted to try bondage. This would be the last trace of Junlin's online activity. This, however, would not be how the police found the connection between Junlin and Luka. They went back within the security cameras of the building the murder took place and were able to pinpoint exactly when both Junlin and Luka Magnotta walked into the building the night of the murder, and finding that later, only Luka would be the one to leave, wearing the shirt Junlin showed up in that night. From here, the police finally had what they needed for a warrant to search Luka's apartment more thoroughly, finding through black light and luminol, a reactant that helped with forensic work, a ridiculous amount of blood splatter all over the house, from the bedroom to the bathroom. They also found a message written on the wall of Luka's closet. If you don't like what you see, don't look in the mirror. I don't care. At this point, the police began to worry that he may reoffend, and that they may be dealing with a serial killer on their hands, but they couldn't find him, because as per usual with Luka, he was gone before the police ever even got involved. The moment they had an arrest warrant out, they contacted the Montreal airport and began tracking him through the security footage. They found that he had bought a ticket to Paris and left the country several hours after uploading the video. Investigators immediately contacted the French authorities to alert them of the seriousness of the crime and that he might strike again. The French police did not hesitate to act, creating a task force of around 30 to 40 officers dedicated to tracking him from the airport down to a hotel where they had found he had a reservation for. But again, they couldn't find him because Luka never stayed at the hotel. Trying to track him down became very difficult, especially after their initial lead, as many 24-hour news outlets continued across Europe to talk about Luka, giving information to the public about a man who was on the run and who blended in with other tourists. This caused an influx of people coming forward, swearing that they saw Luka, splitting the task force's attention and giving Luka himself a shroud of misinformation and time for him to leave the country. One of the leads that they got, however, stood out to them, as a witness by the name of Jean-Christophe called in, telling them that a man he met online came to his home under the name Luke, telling him he was staying at the Novotel Hotel, the hotel where Magnotta had a reservation. This was a part of the investigation never disclosed to the public. Luka stayed over with Jean-Christophe, leaving the next day, but this was pivotal as Jean-Christophe was able to get a number Luka was using while in Paris. It was assumed he bought a phone once he landed, and with this information, the French police were able to track exactly what store the phone was purchased from. This allowed them to track to another hotel where the manager told them he stayed, once being showed a picture of Magnotta. But the room was not under Magnotta's name. It was under an alias of Kirk Trammell. Magnotta was trying to erase himself so he could move on to the next stage. The investigation was at an end road, and from here they truly had no way to find him, at least not in Paris. On June 4th of 2012, the employee of an internet cafe in Berlin, Germany, was catching up with the newspaper, reading up on the Luka Magnotta manhunt, as this was the talk of Europe at the time, and suddenly, he was standing in front of him. The employee stated he was shocked, not really believing it could be Luka. He was polite and had a slight French accent, asking to use the computers. What confirmed it to the employee, however, was that when he took a look at what he was looking up, he found that Luka was staring right at his own red notice on the Interpol website, staring down his own mugshot. Fairly quickly, he called the police, in which 8 officers arrived to the cafe and obtain Luka Magnotta. Luka was only ever caught because he could not help himself but to be vain. He was extradited and brought back to Canada almost as fast as he was caught. On June 19th of 2012, Luka would appear before the court via video link to plead not guilty to all charges through his lawyer, and on the 21st, he would appear before the court in person, requesting a trial by jury. The hearing was messy for all parties involved. Luka's defense requested that the media and public be barred from the hearing, which was almost immediately declined. One of Luka's lawyers resigned from the case due to a possible conflict of interest, and multiple professionals and expert eyewitnesses testified against Luka. On top of this, they had the video that Luka filmed killing Jun Lin. Jun Lin's father, Duran Lin, traveled from China to Canada to attend the hearing. He was there during all of this, including when the court played the video. During the trial, his defense tried to plead not guilty by means of insanity, stating that during the acts, he was in a psychotic state and could not be blamed or held accountable for his actions. The argument didn't really work, as the Crown prosecutor argued that everything that took place within the video was premeditated by at least 6 months, as Luka wrote the email to Alex West explaining how he would eventually kill someone. Luka, in his own vanity and thirst for fame, left such a massive trail of evidence to be used against him that it was near impossible for him to get out of this. He knew exactly what he was doing. Almost every move Luka made was intentional. He even went out of his way to set up his video to mimic the opening sequence of the film Basic Instinct. At one point, he tried to place the blame on someone who allegedly coerced Luka into killing Jun Lin and recording it, along with all of the cat videos, as a part of an underground and illegal fetish ring. Luka, for a time, stated that there was a man who used to be one of his clients while he was working as an escort who took a major liking to Luka and became more and more dangerous as time went on, only being referred to as Manny by Luka, his mother, and a psychiatrist. Manny, according to Luka and his mother, was a very evil man, using Luka at any chance he would, kidnapping him, raping him, and forcing him to make the videos he did, stating that there was indeed someone else in the videos who helped him, which, yes, there actually was. In at least one of his videos, there is another person in there, and to this day, we have no idea who this person is or what their connection is to Luka Magnotta. Quite frankly, I couldn't find any information on who this is, and not a single documentary lingers on this information for more than a second. And unfortunately, we will never know who that other person is, as it was determined that this Manny was a fictional character made up by Luka to place blame on, believing that it was inspired by the film Basic Instinct, along with the fake alias Luka was using while in Europe to evade the police. And in December of 2014, the jury had their answer. After 2 years, Luka Magnotta was found guilty on all charges, given a life sentence with a chance of parole after 25 years. This event went on to change the internet in more ways than one. In a previous video we made on the channel, talking about the case of Dr. Gloves, we also talk about the history of shock sites on the internet and where they went and why they went. Well, this is why they went. During the trial of Luka Magnotta in 2013, Canada had charged the owner of the website bestscore.com with corrupting the public morals, a very rare but very serious charge. The reason for this being, Luka Magnotta sent the video to Mark Merrick, the owner, and he published it. He was the one who published One Lunatic, One Ice Pick, and that video was one of the first provable snuff films ever uploaded to the internet. Once the website owner was charged, a lot of different things happened within multiple North American countries and Europe. Many websites decided that they were going to change their rulings on the way websites work. And due to this, a lot of the gore sites and shock sites just couldn't keep up, meaning that Luka Magnotta is one of the main reasons why the gore era of the internet died. In the end, he got exactly what he wanted. Luka Magnotta was after fame. He was after notoriety and infamy. And through all of his actions, through all of the group's actions, and the way that the media portrayed him all over Europe, he got exactly what he wanted, and he will now be forever etched in internet history. I have a lot of thoughts on everything involved with this case, and a lot of them are of frustration from the Facebook groups involved, the neglect from the Toronto police, and the 3 subsequent documentaries that came from this case, all of which I will be talking about on my second channel here soon. And at least in my opinion, they do a really bad job at explaining everything properly and show many people involved as blameless heroes or victims of Luka himself. I'll get into it more over there though. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a good night.